Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Namo Vishapad Paramhansha Pravyajagacharya Ashtottashata His Divine Grace Abhay Chanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantagoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Upasthi Samvita Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishwadaya Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, text number 12. Jnanam yat apratinevrita gunormi chakram Atmaprasada utayatra guneshu asanga Kaivalya samata pathastu atha bhakti yoga Ko nivrito harikathashu ratimna kuryat. So we'll just read it once more. Jnanam yad apratinevrita gunormi chakram Atmaprasada utayatra gunesh sanga Kaivalya samata pathastu atha bhakti yoga Ko nivruto harikathashu ratimna kuryat. Word by word translation. Jnanam, knowledge. Yat, that which. A, up to the limit of. Pratinivrita, completely withdrawn. Guna urmi, the waves of the material modes. Chakram, whirlpool. Atmaprasada, self-satisfaction. Uta, moreover. Yatra, where there is. Guneshu, in the modes of nature. Asanga, no attachment. Kaivalya, transcendental. Samata, approved. Pataha, path. Tu, but. Atha, therefore. Bhakti yoga, devotional service. Ka, who. Nivritaha, absorbed in. Hari kathashu, in the transcendental topics of the Lord. Ratim, attraction. Na, shall not. Kuryat, do. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the webs and whirlpools of the material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment, and being transcendental, it is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted? Purport. According to Bhagavad Gita 10.9, the characteristics of pure devotee are wonderful. The complete functional activities of a pure devotee are always engaged in the service of the Lord, and thus the pure devotee exchange feelings of ecstasy between themselves and relish transcendental bliss. This transcendental bliss is experienced even in the stage of devotional practice, sadhana avastha, if properly undertaken under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And in the mature state, the developed transcendental feelings culminates in realization of the particular relationship with the Lord by which a living entity is originally constituted, up to the relationship of conjugal love with the Lord, which is estimated to be the highest transcendental bliss. Thus, Bhakti Yoga, being the only means of God realization, is called Kaivalya. Srila Jiva Goswami quotes the Vedic version, Eko Narayana Deva Paravaranam Parama Aste Kaivalya Samjitaha. In this connection, establishes that Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is known as Kaivalya, and the means of which enables one to approach the Lord is called the Kaivalya Pantaha, or the only means of attainment of Godhead. This Kaivalya Pantaha begins from Shravana, or hearing those topics that relate to the personality of Godhead. And the natural consequence of hearing such Harikatha is attainment of transcendental knowledge, which causes detachment from all mundane topics, for which a devotee has no taste at all. For a devotee, all mundane activities, social and political, become unattractive. And in the mature state, such a devotee becomes uninterested even in his own body, and what to speak of bodily relatives. In such a state of affairs, one is not agitated by the waves of the material modes. There are different modes of material nature, and all mundane functions in which a common man is very much interested or in which he takes part become unattractive for the devotee. Thus, this state of affair is described herein as Pratinivrita Gunormi, and it is possible by Atmaprasada, or complete self-satisfaction without any material connection. The first-class devotee of the Lord attains this stage by devotional service, but despite his loftiness, for the Lord's satisfaction, he may play the voluntary part of a preacher of the Lord's glory and dovetail all into devotional service, even mundane interest, just to give the neophytes a chance to transform mundane interest into transcendental bliss. Srila Rupa Goswami has described this action of a pure devotee as Nirbandha Krishna Sarbandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. Even mundane activities dovetailed with service to the Lord are also calculated to be transcendental or approved Kaivalya affairs. So I'll just read the last line again. Even mundane activities dovetailed with service to the Lord are also calculated to be transcendental or approved Kaivalya affairs. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chukshurnitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Gunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Pariganashaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakarnitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishohanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vaekacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Such a wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Like this chapter, Pure Devotional Service, all the verses, like, especially the last couple of them, where it started from text number 10, which is such a famous verse. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udarita tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. So from there to here, it's such wonderfully explained that the devotional service, the characteristics of devotional service, and how actually devotees takes up devotional service in a proper way. So in this specific purport, specifically, we will just go through the purport today, rather than trying to put some other thoughts into it. This purport, if we just follow, it will give us the very basic of Krishna consciousness. And practically the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness has been explained in this one purport. So at the beginning of the purport, it started with Bhagavad Gita 10.9. So we know that Bhagavad Gita 10.9 is actually the part of Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. Starts from 10.8. So 10.9 is Machita Madgata Prana Bodhayantas Parasparam Kathayantas Chamam Nityam Tushanchi Cha Ramanti Cha. So it's discussed, it's explained there that Machita Madgata Prana. So the Lord is describing the pure devotees as that who are always thinking about Him, and their life is devoted to the Lord. Machita Madgata Prana. Bodhayantas Parasparam. So these Bodhayantas, this mean that they are enlightening them. They are enlightening each other while they are describing various topics, glorification of the Lord. Bodhayantas Parasparam. Kathayantas Chamam Nityam. So always, continuously, they are engaging in the conversation related to the Lord, or to service, various aspects of devotional services, various aspects of ways to propagate the glories of the Lord. So various aspects of preaching, all to do with to glorifying the Lord. Kathayanchascha mam nityam tushanticha ramanticha. So tushanticha ramanticha, this means that by doing this, they get an eternal joy and bliss, which is not anywhere compared with anything with material happiness. So in material happiness, everybody is trying to, going after this material happiness, but which is not there, which is like a mirage in a desert. That you can see it, in a desert, if someone is walking within this, very, high temperature and the heat, and suddenly, they are very thirsty, and then they saw, there is a oasis. They feel like it's an oasis, and the oasis is there somewhere, but it just there is they are the vision. They got the illusion that it is there, and they kept running for it. But when they reach there, they're saying nothing there. So similarly, material happiness is just a feeling that is just it's described by the acharyas that it's actually not an happiness. It's when the suffering stops. So when there is no suffering, like for a moment, when all the sufferings, like some of the suffering stop, then we feel happiness. So that's why we call material happiness. But this tushanticha ramanticha, this basically is something which is not experienced in this by doing any mundane activities. This is only possible when we are going through our devotional services. So in the purport, Prabhupada explained that this transcendental bliss is experienced even in the stage of devotional practice. Sadhana avastha, if properly undertaken under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So, as we know that as per Nectar of Devotion, there are 3 stages of devotional service: sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. So the sadhana bhakti is the first stage when we are starting all the processes that have been recommended by Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas, that how we should lead our life in Krishna consciousness. That day we were having a discussion among some devotees regarding how life is going through during this isolation, in a way that we are not allowed to go out, we are not allowed to meet in gatherings, and quite a few devotees actually express their happiness in a way that during this time they are having more time to actually put all this the different ways of sadhana bhaktis that we should do, like waking up in the morning, chanting, listening to the lectures, readings. So all these things, they have been now successfully, they are adopting it in their life because they have more time now. So in a way that there is and that is the characteristics of devotee, that in any kind of situation they always find positive things to to concentrate upon, rather than looking into the negative ones. So devotees are they are happy that okay, now because I don't have to wake up early and catch train to work, or get ready for the school for my kids and all those things, I can now concentrate, I can now wake up in the morning, I can do my chanting in a peaceful state, and then then followed by all the other activities. So here Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport that if someone does these activities in this preliminary stage, while in the neophyte stage, under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, then that they also able to relish this transcendental bliss. So, and we see that's how we see that even though we have been in isolation, but devotees, they are in a good mood, they are in a good state of mind, they are putting more and more time and effort in preaching, and so this is only possible when you are able to get that the taste of that nectar, because without that, if you are not motivated, if you are not encouraged, if you are not dedicated, it's not possible within this time, because it is very trying time. There are so many various things that unknown, that we don't know. So that's why it's important that while executing our services in these times, we try to put more and more effort and emphasis on following the regulated path and principles. So, while doing that, under the instruction of bona fide master, spiritual master, we can follow that. We can taste that nectar, and then in the mature stage of devotion, develop transcendental feelings culminates in realization of the particular relationship with the Lord by which a living entity is originally constituted. So then from the sadhana bhakti, once we started this practice, then the next stage is bhava bhakti, and then obviously the topmost is prema. So when someone goes from this sadhana to bhava, then they become realized about their constitutional position. So it's basically that Jivet Swarup hai, Krishna Nitya Das. So they are firm in that platform that whatever I am the servant of the Lord, and whatever my activities are is to serve the Lord and nothing else. So whatever I am doing, even if it's not directly related, but somehow or other I have to dovetail that activity to service of the Lord. So somehow or other they are they will make it happen. So that is that stage of bhava. And then next, when they go into the stage of prema, then someone they actually find out their relationship with the Lord, which is like a very higher stage. So it explained here that it might go up to the relationship of conjugal love with the Lord, which is estimated to be the highest transcendental bliss. So we know that there are different, there is 5 different rasas which is there. Like we started from Santa Dasa, Sakha, Vatsalya, and Madhur, Madhurya. So it's basically all these 5, and then someone can establish that specific rasa with the Lord, and it's a very higher stage. And devotees obviously don't hanker for that. It's not the ultimate goal for devotees. Their main aim is to serve the Lord and to do it with full surrender. And once they are doing it, they actually go past all these stages. So, thus, Bhakti Yoga, by being the only means of God realization, is called Kaivalya. So now this Kaivalya Pantham, which is we are going to come in this verse, as we mentioned, it's a very important word. Kaivalya Pantham means that the only way to reach to attain the love for Godhead. And Kaivalya, it's also used for the impersonalisms. Impersonalists, they also use this Kaivalya Advaitam. Kaivalya Advaitam. This is the famous from Shankaracharya, right? So that is the impersonalist. But for us, Kaivalya Bhakti. So it's only the path of Bhakti that actually can take us back to Godhead. And in this, in that relationship, Prabhupada here quotes a note from the Vedic version, which is given by Srila Jiva Goswami, that Eko Narayana Deva Paraparanam Parame Aste Kaivalya Samanjitaha. So in this connection, and establishes that Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is known as Kaivalya, and the means which enables one to approach the Lord is called Kaivalya Pantaha, or the only means of attainment of Godhead. So this is this is the path. We have been discussing various paths, in the previous verses that we discussed about the different yoga process. You can either try those different process of yoga. You can take the other different paths to reach to the Lord, but it is the path of Bhakti Yoga which can only take you to there. Because other than that, why the Bhakti Yoga is the most prominent and easiest way of doing it, because it actually deals with love. So it's actually the dormant relationship with the Lord, with any living being, is based on love. And it establishes that love. That love is already there. So it just rekindles that love again with the with the Lord, so that it's much easier. Like when there is a loving exchange, it's very much easier for someone to connect with each other. So we see that, like, you can see very simple example that we have different exchanges with different people in our day-to-day life. Like we go to the market and we buy something from that shopkeeper. We go to the office, we do some job for our the managers. We come back to home and then we have exchanges with our loved, near and loved ones. And we can see definitely where actually we can find more happiness and where we are more strongly connected. It's obviously with the ones with whom we are connected with love. In all the other segments, it's connected by some kind of give and take relationship. So if you're going to the shop, you're giving money to them and you're getting back the products out of them. In your work, you are doing, when you're going to your workplace, you are doing your time, you are giving your time and effort, and in return you are getting back money. So it's a given, it's something give and take. But the loving exchanges, where it's selfless, mostly, when the higher stages of prema is that when you are doing something for someone without expecting anything from that person. So that's very important, and that's where we see that in those kind of relationship, the bonding is very strong. So Bhakti Yoga is actually based on that loving relationship. And because of that loving relationship, and Krishna, we also know that Krishna also is, as we are always hankering, Krishna is also very much looking forward for that loving relationship. And that is one of the main reasons that we know that that the Lord, He wanted to come back and experience that prema. That he was thinking that how come these gopis, and especially the principal gopi Radharani, have this amount of love for me? I want to experience that. And that's the reason he came back, he came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so that he wants to experience that. So that's why we see that how important this is. So that's why the Bhakti Yoga is the only means, and that's why it's called Kaivalya Pantaha. Now the next part is, it's explained here that this Kaivalya Pantaha begins from Shravana, or hearing those topics that relate to the personality of Godhead. And the natural consequences of hearing such Harikatha is attainment of transcendental knowledge, which causes detachment from all mundane topics, for which a devotee has no taste at all. So the beginning of this bhakti yoga, if someone said, okay, now I believe that, yes, this is the correct path for me, so how can I progress? So the first stage is by Shravanam, first by listening to the glorification of the Lord. Now when someone is hearing this all these different instructions and all the pastimes of the Lord, what's happening? What is happening by hearing that? Two things are happening. First, they are obviously getting transcendental knowledge, and then the next one which is coming is renouncement from all the material attachments. So we actually, and this has been confirmed in the verse, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, verse number 7, where it is said that Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Jananti Asu Vairagya Jnanam Chayad Ahitukim. So the translation goes like that: by rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So by rendering service, so the first service like devotional service, and the first we know that 9 processes of devotional service. The first one is Saravana. The first thing happen is immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So that knowledge, this knowledge is not same with what we had in our in our educational system. In our schools and colleges, where we just came to learn something. Okay, I am reading this. I was a student of science, so my subject was chemistry. My major subject was chemistry. So basically, what I did is just went to the different books, and chemistry had lots of formulas, and I just memorize all those formulas. There are some practicals, experiments on that also. But the main thing is that I just memorize all those ones, went into the examination hall, and I just wrote down all of them and got good marks. But now, do I remember any of them? I don't. Is any of them is helping me, or I'm using in my day-to-day life? No. So that those knowledges are they are not they are very temporary. Those knowledges you are just getting and you are just using them, and by that you are just getting some kind of result out of it. Okay, it's for exams or something, you get a good grade, and based on that good grade you move to the next stage. But once that is done, it's basically those knowledges become null and voided. But this knowledge is mentioned here is transcendental knowledge. This knowledge is something that when someone is acquired, that actually revitalize their inner soul, inner peace, revitalize their all the because this knowledge is already in us, because we already came from the spiritual world, so this knowledge is already there. And this knowledge is used to reconnect us to the Lord. So when we start listening to this Hari Katha, when it's through our ear, it reaches to our soul. It's basically then again we re-establish that loving exchange and a loving relationship with the Lord. So. And at that point, and so it's basically also that when the process starts, that it cleanses up our heart, all the mundane things that we have, and all our all the materialistic thing that actually has it made our mind, it just cleans all of them. So once that cleaning happens, then that cleaning is happening. So we are we are listening to all these knowledges, we are doing our chanting, and then started to all the bad things started to come out, to go away. The last time we were discussing about 6 vices in our heart, those started to get subdued, and then you are started to go into that platform of goodness, and then from goodness to transcendental platform. So that's why it's when we this Hari Katha. So here is it's mentioned in the last phrase in the verse, that ko nivrita Hari Kathashu ratim na kuryati. So this Hari Katha is basically such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment, and being transcendental, it is approved by authorities. So with this, when someone is hearing that, the glories of the Lord, then that the creeper of bhakti which is in our heart, in everyone's heart, there's a bhakti beej is there, right? The seed of devotion. And then the Hari Katha goes there, and it's like the watering the seed. And then the seed, we know that when you properly take care of the seed, then the creepers started to come out, and then it started to get big, and then the flowers started to bloom. You started to get all the fruits out of it. So these actually, the flowers and the fruits of that bhakti creeper decorates your soul. So what does it mean? That even the body finished, that decoration is still there. So that's what we see, that all the acharyas, who have dedicated their life for the preaching of the glories of the holy name, although their body, bodily they have been passed away from this material world, but there we still have all their instruction, we still remember them, all their all glorious works are still there. So that's how it's happened, that the souls they got decorated with, and once we keep hearing all this Hari Katha. So that's why it's very important that once one should be always eager to hear any kind of glorification, irrespective of who the speaker is, irrespective what the place is, irrespective of where it is. Wherever there is Hari Katha, we should always be very much, engaged and enthusiastic for that. Because without that, it's very, there is no other, because that is the very first step to actually progress in the, in the path of bhakti. Because if someone thinks that, okay, I'm not going to do any listening, any shravanam, I'm just going into the bandhanam path, or I'm going into the other path, it's not going to happen. The shravanam is the most important thing. And without that, without you have engaged in shravanam, there is no way that there is any progress in the bhakti life. There is absolutely no way. And it has been time and again, it has been mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that how important this Shravanam is. So that is the first thing, that when you are listening, you are getting transcendental knowledge, obviously that knowledge, and that knowledge decorates your soul. The other part is that getting detached from all the material entanglements. So the word here used in the verse is Parinivrita Gunormi Chakram. So Parinivrita is completely withdrawn. Gunormi, the waves of material modes. Gunormi, so Guna Urmi. So Urmi is actually comes from Urmila. That's meaning of that word is the waves of ocean. So the different waves of material gunas, all the material natures. So it is we are in this material nature, so we are going to get hit by all these different kind of material modes. So, and also after that, it will create that whirlpool, the chakram. So, and that actually takes us in, more deep into the material, in this bondage. So all these different material modes are there. They are creating this whirlpool, and as we get more entangled into there, it will take us more in. So how then we can completely withdraw ourselves is by listening to Hari Katha, because what that will do is Atmaprasada, that will provide self-satisfaction. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this state of affair is described herein as Pratinivrita Gunormi, and it is possible by Atmaprasada, or complete self-satisfaction without any material connection. So the first-class devotee of the Lord attains this stage by devotional service, but despite his loftiness for the Lord's satisfaction, he may play the voluntary part of preacher of the Lord's glory and dovetail all into the devotional service, even even mundane interests, just to give neophytes a chance to transform mundane interests to transcendental bliss. So, Atmaprasada, or complete satisfaction without any material connection. So it's very important. So in this way, someone, when they're very much eager and engaged in listening to the glories of the Lord, they practically they lose interest with any of the other materialistic thing. Like all the other materialistic kind of disturbance, that doesn't affect them. So it's kind of like the lotus flower. Like lotus flower actually comes up in a very dirty places. But it is on top of that. So there is a lotus stem which comes up from the dirty place, and then the flower. So underneath, whatever the disturbance are there, whatever the ripples are there, it doesn't affect that flower. So similarly, for the devotees of the Lord, when they are fully engaged in listening to the glories of the Lord, whatever other things are happening materially, all the disturbance and everything, and which we can now appreciate that what's happening in currently, that we can see that for the for the devotees, that we can actually take a test for every one of us, that to see that are we getting too much disturbed by what's happening outside. There are so many things happening. Yes, as a responsible citizen of a country, or of your family, you have to maintain few rules and regulations which is as prescribed by the government. Yes, that's fine. But other than that, what's going to be happening after this? What is the economic turnover? What is this? What is that? There are so many things that is there currently. During before this there were, but now because during this pandemic there are more and more, and which can makes you more and more disturbed in your head. So, but for a devotee, when they are fully engaged in the devotional service, this all doesn't make any kind of effect to them. So they are like Sthita Pragya, as it mentioned in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, that they are they are not affected by this any kind of changes, any kind of disturbances. So, but at that point of time, what they do, they know that they are not getting disturbed, but their main responsibility at that point of time is not like that, I'm not getting disturbed, I'm engaged in Lord's service, I'm happy, so let me just sit down and I'm just going through this. No. A preacher, that's what Prabhupada mentioned there, a first-class devotee, at that point of time, they actually take that opportunity to preach the glories of the Lord to all the other ones who are under that misery. So that when all of them, they also realize that fact, they will also take up that process, which will provide them transcendental bliss. So here, that's why it says that even the neophytes, just to give the neophytes a chance to transform mundane interest into transcendental bliss. So Srila Rupa Goswami has described this action of a pure devotee as nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So even anyone have any kind of they were not practicing during few devotees also have said that this time when we are doing different online different programs on the online platform, we are seeing more and more participants in those programs, because obviously during these times, specifically people from the Indian background, they are actually more thinking, okay, this is a time that we should think about the Lord, because the Lord has to protect us. Somehow or other, during the time of misery, we remember the Lord more and more. So we can see more participants in those programs. But we need to take this opportunity to actually make them understand that, okay, this is not only for this pandemic. If you want to have this, if you want to get out of the misery and have this transcendental bliss throughout your life, you have to take up this process. So it's like although you are having indulge in different kind of materialistic activities, it just those all of them just needs to be somehow or other dovetail into the service of the Lord. And then when that happen, basically you'll start feeling as I said that at the beginning of the verse, that even someone in that neophyte stage, they can also feel that ecstasy, right? So that's why in the last the very last sentence of this purport, even mundane activities dovetailed with service to the Lord are also calculated to be transcendental or approved by Cavalia affairs. So when this get so it is confirmed by Srila Prabhupada that even their activities, materialistic activities, somehow or other dovetail into service of the Lord, they will be also considered as Cavalia affairs. And as it is mentioned that it is only with Cavalia Pantha is the only way to go back to that Godhead. So if we prove this to someone, and this is the very gist of Krishna consciousness, if we just explain it to someone, then that's why the last sentence in the translation was, who could fail to be attracted? It's a rhetorical question. So no one will be failed to attract it. It will attract everyone, but it depends on how all of us, that to preach it to all the others who are going through this misery, to bring them back from that platform of misery to transcendental bliss. So such wonderful purport, this one, it just by going through this purport, you just explain everything. And you can take up this purport and go to anyone and just explain to them that what is the meaning of Krishna consciousness. So we are very grateful that Srila Prabhupada has explained all these nice verses in such a way that it becomes very easy for us, and we can then apply it for preaching of the holy name. Thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nithai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.